The body gets tired long before the world notices. The mind starts to doubt long before any real failure happens. And purpose, unlike the other two, makes no noise. It doesn't shout. It doesn't pressure. It doesn't beg. It simply remains, silent, waiting. And it's exactly in this difference that almost everyone gets lost. Because when the body gets tired, the instinct is to stop. When the mind doubts, the instinct is to pull back. But when purpose is real, it doesn't disappear with exhaustion or doubt. It stays there, watching to see whether you'll give up on yourself or move through the discomfort to become who you were meant to be. At the beginning, no one feels this. At the beginning, everything is energy, vision, excitement. You wake up with ideas. You fall asleep with plans. You feel like you've finally found something that makes sense. Purpose is born like that, almost like a quiet revelation. It doesn't come with clear maps or promises of ease. It comes as a certainty that's hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. But time passes. Routine sets in. Repetition starts to weigh. And what once felt exciting begins to demand something deeper than motivation. It begins to demand commitment. That's when the body starts to complain. Fatigue stops being just physical and becomes emotional. You wake up less willing. Everything feels heavier. Rest never seems enough. And the mind, always opportunistic, steps in. It starts questioning everything. Is this really for you? Are you pushing too hard for something uncertain? Wouldn't it be smarter to stop now, before you wear yourself down even more? These doubts don't show up because you're weak. They show up because you're moving beyond comfort. Every purposeful journey passes through this territory, a place where excitement is gone, but reward hasn't arrived yet. An empty space between the beginning and the result. That's where the body gets tired. That's where the mind doubts. And that's where purpose is truly tested. Because purpose isn't what you feel on good days. It's what you honor on hard ones. The body wants relief. It's wired to avoid pain and seek comfort. That's not a flaw, it's survival. But the body doesn't understand meaning. It doesn't understand mission. It doesn't understand the future. It understands now. The mind, on the other hand, wants safety. It creates scenarios, projects risks, compares paths. It tries to protect you from failure but often ends up pulling you away from what could transform you. Purpose doesn't negotiate with fear. It doesn't adapt to comfort. It exists to pull you beyond what's easy. When you confuse exhaustion with incapacity, you start abandoning what matters. When you confuse doubt with truth, you begin to sabotage yourself. And when you silence purpose just to relieve momentary discomfort, something inside you starts to die slowly, not dramatically, but consistently. First comes frustration, then the feeling of being busy but empty, then that uncomfortable question that shows up in silence. Is this really what I wanted for my life? Many people believe that living with purpose means never getting tired. That's a lie. People who live with purpose get more tired than average because they go farther than average. The difference isn't in not feeling the weight. It's in not letting the weight decide the direction. Purpose doesn't eliminate fatigue. It gives meaning to it. It turns effort into construction, pain into learning, persistence into identity. There's a specific moment when most people quit. It's not when everything goes wrong. It's when nothing seems to be happening. When you're doing the work but seeing no return. When you're doing everything right but getting no confirmation. When you keep going but feel invisible. That's when the mind doubts the loudest. And that's when purpose whispers even more quietly because it doesn't compete with the noise of fear. Those who win learn to hear purpose even when the mind is screaming. They learn to respect the body without blindly obeying it. They learn to rest without quitting. They learn to continue without needing to feel confident all the time. Because they understand something fundamental. Confidence doesn't come before action, it's built by it. The turning point never happens when you feel strong. It happens when you act while feeling weak. When you choose to continue even when tired. When you decide to honor what you know matters, even without immediate pleasure. That's when something shifts, not externally, but internally. You begin to become someone you can trust. And that changes everything. The greatest victory isn't achieving something external. It's not abandoning yourself in the process. It's looking back and knowing that even while doubting, you continued. Even while tired, you persisted. Even while afraid, you didn't betray yourself. That builds a quiet, deep strength that no external validation can replace. The body may ask for a pause, and pausing is healthy, but a pause is not quitting. The mind may question, and questioning is human, but questioning is not surrender. The mistake isn't feeling. The mistake is letting those feelings decide for you. Purpose wins when you understand that it doesn't depend on your mood, your energy, or your motivation. It depends on your loyalty. Many people aren't unhappy because they failed. They're unhappy because they quit too early on what mattered. They negotiated too much with comfort, believed doubts too easily, silenced the inner calling to relieve external fatigue. And the cost of that is high, because the relief of quitting is short, but the weight of regret is long. When you follow purpose, life doesn't get easier. It gets more honest. You understand why you're doing what you're doing. You tolerate fatigue better because it has direction. You handle doubt better because it no longer defines you. Purpose doesn't remove challenges, it organizes them. There comes a moment when purpose stops being something you chase and becomes something that sustains you, even when everything feels heavy, even when no one recognizes it, even when there are no guarantees. That's when it wins. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Because now you no longer depend on external stimulation to continue. You depend on internal alignment. Maybe right now you're tired. Maybe you're doubting. Maybe you're seriously thinking about stopping. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The question isn't what you feel, it's what you do with what you feel. You can use fatigue as a signal to quit everything, or as proof that you're pushing beyond what's always been comfortable. You can use doubt as an excuse to retreat or as an invitation to strengthen your commitment. Purpose doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. It asks you to return to it even after bad days, to not abandon it just because it got hard, because it knows something the body and the mind don't. On the other side of persistence is a version of you haven't met yet, but one that's worth the effort. And that's why, in the end, purpose always wins. Not because it eliminates fatigue, not because it silences doubt, but because it remains when everything else fluctuates. It's the axis, the center, the reference point. It's why you get up tired, keep going confused, move forward without applause. If this message touched something inside you, if these words describe exactly the moment you're living, like this video, leave a comment sharing where you felt the most exhaustion or doubt, and subscribe to the channel. Here, we talk about what holds you up when everything feels heavy. Because the body may get tired, the mind may doubt, but when purpose is real, it always wins.